DNA databases are often used by police to solve crime, but scientists are now using the same technology to help save parrots from the illegal wildlife trade. So how does this all work?
So in this research, we would like to build something like Interpol has and they use regularly to, for example, try to identify missing people. In order to build a database like that, we need to have some reference data to start with. So in our case, we are working on parrots, psittacines. So these are already quite threatened group of species, actually the most threatened bird order. And they are also very sought after in the pet trade. We are going to go to the field and collect samples from the wild populations, which is essential to have like a reference database. We collect things like feathers or blood samples from these birds, and then in the laboratory we extract the DNA and then build a reference database for each individual. So then we location tag those individuals, so we know which genetic makeup is coming from which region. So once we have that database as a standard in our system, then if there's a confiscation occurring, for example, somewhere in Jakarta, we can also do the same procedure and testing the same markers on those individuals as well. And then bioinformatically in our database, we can search and try to do like a match with like a kinship analysis. So then we can have an idea, like these birds confiscated from Jakarta are, for example, coming from the Moluccan region. And that would help not only the authorities to understand the whole pattern of the illegal parrot trade, but it would also help the birds to revive them to the correct location, because that's also like a big issue when like they confiscate birds and they're not really sure about the provenance of these individuals. It's hard to get them back to the correct location in time. I just been to Indonesia to talk with our collaborators and about the research permit, but also the logistics. I visited some islands as like a recce to see where we are going to conduct this research. One of our main target species is the yellow-crested cockatoo, the Cockatoo sulfurea, which is critically endangered. And there's just only a few populations left in the wild, spread across different islands in Indonesia. And I visited one of these islands and sadly had to realize that the whole population of that species has gone extinct from that island just recently. Last year, the last individual died. So, that was a really sad realization of a fieldwork, but also kind of showing the pressure and, how we're racing extinction with this research, because like these birds are going to disappear in the wild. So I think it's really timely to do this research while we still can collect samples from the wild, and we can still protect these species while it's still around. Talking about parrots, that also includes cockatoos, macaws, lories, lorikeets. They also very susceptible to the illegal wildlife trade because there's a high demand for them as pets due to their intelligence and attractiveness, as many of the species are able to mimic human sons. I think people who are listening and who might consider to buy parrots in the future, I think what they could do is just reduce the demand. So I think the first thing is try not to get parrots as pets. I wouldn't recommend, they're not domesticated as like cats and dogs. They've never been. So I think they purely wild exotic animals to belong to the wild. So I don't endorse keeping them as pets. But if someone really wants to have them, it's really important to check the provenance of those birds and see where they're coming from, that you really double check and do your research about where you buy these birds or in particular any animals that you want to keep as pet. Because it's really important, if it's coming from a certified breeder, I think if we can reduce the demand and make it, enforce that all the birds that are on the legal wildlife trade, like the legal pet trade, they coming from certified breeders, I think that would be a big step towards protecting the wild populations.